God's children are not for sale.
Sound of Freedom is a July surprise that could be the summer shocker.
Isaac and I would go with him.
Why Isaac?
In April, his only son scored headlines, opening at number 3, with nearly $6 million in ticket sales, after being made for only $250,000.
Throw this down for a catch.
I don't have a quarrel with you, teacher.
And then there's The Chosen, the record-making crowd-funded series that Lionsgate picked up for worldwide distribution in May, after 3 successful seasons without Hollywood support. The engine behind these upsets isn't in New York or LA. It's 43 miles south of Salt Lake City, Provo, Utah. Population, about 120,000. A land of towering mountains and waterfalls, and home to Angel Studios, where brothers Jeffrey and Neil Harmon are disrupting the entertainment world, putting power in the hands of the people. But it's been an uphill climb.
When we last sat here some 5 years ago, you were faced with a lawsuit. Let's go back to that time. What was it like? What do you remember?
Well, at the time, I was terrified when I first saw the lawsuit and shocked that it was Disney. But I remember distinctly getting up in front of, how many people did we have at that time? Probably, I don't know how many. It was around 50 people on the team, 40 to 50. I remember standing up and saying to people, I'm not exactly sure how this is going to turn out, but I believe that the audience, we, and Hollywood would be better off for it.
Disney sued the Harmon's VidAngel platform for copyright infringement because it gave home audiences the ability to filter out what they didn't want to see or hear in its films.
When we were in trial, the number 2 guy at Disney was there the entire week, and their half of the room was filled with suits of sophisticated lawyers and people watching. And our half of the room was a measly crowd. And then the families would come in and sit down and cheer for us, and then they'd have to leave, or children would come and
little
cheer
Orthodox Jewish families would come in and sit down and be like, "You can do it, you can do it."
And so it's like this sea of high billing hours against, the margins of Hollywood society.
How and why did you survive?
We should have lost. We really should have, but we didn't, and we can't take credit for that. It was a mixture of families like those stepping up and putting up $10 million for us to fight the battle.
And as far as I'm aware, we're the only company that's ever survived, like a startup company that's ever survived a big lawsuit like this from Disney.
So how are things different today? How big is Angel Studios? How many projects do you have? What's all happening here now?
Leaving bankruptcy, we were at somewhere in the 30 range, maybe 38 people. Today, we're at over 140. When Disney sued us, we did $8 million. Last year, we did 120.
We got a bunch of projects coming.
Let's look at the new project lineup for 2023. All right, Tempest. This is based on a sea monster. It's an animated series.
And a familiar formula is at work. A team of 100,000 Angel viewers screened hundreds of submissions, then voted to decide what Angel Studios produces and raises the money to fund. Like The Shift, starring Neil McDonough.
1,000 versions of you in 1,000 different worlds, all working for me. Where's my wife? I shifted her.
How did you know that giving the power to the audience would work?
It was intuitive. We grew up on farms in Idaho, and it was just intuitive.
In 2016, it wasn't intuitive to anybody else. It was just intuitive. We believed that if you give people ownership, Neil gives the example of owning versus renting in a home, So we had this idea that we can raise money through the crowd, and because they own part of the network, they're way more conscious and want the network to work, and they're helping market us and defend us. And so we have 12,000 investors who invested in Angel Studios.
It was also intuitive just because when we were growing up, our parents would share with us films, but they were very select few that we could watch. And we have young children ourselves. And we just said, yeah, I mean, what we see being created isn't what we want to experience with our family. And so if we ask the families what they want made, we just felt like that would mirror more what we want to see made.
It's not the Hollywood model for movie making. It's the Harmon model, and it's working. Ephraim Graham, CBN News, Provo, Utah.